We're gonna wait another minute or so and. Let's see who's. Let's see. Maybe he does, you're in charge of getting the seat. Okay. They gave up. All right, it is still our fault.
No time.
Form being present calling the meeting of October 28th, to set the planning board to order. First order of business is the approval of the minutes of September 23rd, 2024.
Make a motion to approve that written.
We have a motion to approve as submitted. Second. Any comments? All those in favor?
I'm going to abstain. I don't believe it was at the meeting.
I think the word is that it's just, I stepped down.
Yeah, first. Yeah, and everything's. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
All right. First order of business, the Sunset Ridge subdivision, pre-application subdivision, Red Oak Drive.
Yeah.
Pull a chair right up with you, please.
Good question.
Up of the old bathroom.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening, folks.
That
For the record, my name is Greg Schinberg. I'm the owner's representative for the owners of the property called Sunset Ridge Development, which was approved by this organization, by this board rather, 3.5 or 4 years ago. The property has been partially developed, and then I believe the original investor had many problems and then sold it off to some folks from out of state who have hired me to look at what possible options there are for the property. And the first thing is to look at keeping it as the 10-lot approved subdivision that was approved by the planning board here, and complete the work that was started. And so first part of that was in talking to Emily, she said it'd be a good idea to give you some photos of what the property looks like right now, so I can pass around. Oh, sorry, this is like 10 photos that I took today. I was up there recently also, so it gives you a sense of what's there. And what is there is if you go to the end of Oak Ridge Drive, it dead ends in a little bit of a T. The town recently paved that road. I was up there about a month ago. The asphalt looks fairly brand new. The property also abuts a road called the Grover Tavern Road on the backside. And you can see in the photos, what occurred several years ago was that on lots 1 and 2, and I believe, Emily, you said that the folks here have this.
Yeah, that's the
subdivision map.
memo.
I have extra copies of this if you need it also. Please. I have some extra ones if anybody needs them. And in the photos that I took today, I can also tell you that there's been one well drilled on lot number 2 and 2 foundations put in on lots 1 and 2. And the foundations are basically slab with frost walls. And I think the size of the houses are probably around 2,200 square feet approximately, plus a 2-car garage. And from the look of what was there, looked like they prepared for some radiant tubing underneath the slabs in the houses. Beyond that, if you look at the plan, you can see where it goes into a kind of a T hammerhead, butting up to lots 4, 5, and 6, and 7. And that road has been roughed in, and a lot of the clearing you can see in the photographs has been done in there, and then that's about it. Is it ready to be driven on? I have a 4x4 truck. I have to go about halfway down the road, and I had to stop because it was unpassable past that point. It's in a rough place right now. It's not certainly in a salvable condition. It's been certainly started. A lot of trees have been cut down. A lot of erosion control measures, I think, were done. But to take it forward would certainly take some work to get it stabilized and, move it forward. So the owners of the property wanted me to look at two things. One is to continue with the original plan and just build out the subdivision the way it's been called out, which had some green space in lot number 9. And so it shows 11 lots on here, but it's basically a 10-lot subdivision because one of the lots is maintained for green space. The owners also wanted to look at, well, with the, was it LD 2003, I believe, that the state passed, different towns, and I work in a lot of towns around the state, are looking at what they want to do for the affordable housing that a lot of these towns are looking for and need. And so to get an alternative to doing 10 lots in there, the owners are saying, well, what if we did some affordable housing? And if so, what would the parameters be? Could we do some cluster? Could we group together some houses? Should we group together some houses? It's a beautiful piece of property. I know that that's a little different than maybe what was approved, and the neighbors nearby will certainly have some opinion about that. And I'm not here to propose one thing or another. I'm really here to get a kind of a feel for the temperature of the board on what it might be to take the process forward. Certainly the simplest thing to do to move it forward, according to Emily, my understanding is that since the project was substantially started, it could be a simple matter of coming back to this board and having this board say, okay, you've done enough. We present in all the information that was presented 4 years ago with the civil work and the survey work and the erosion, and it's probably 6, 7, 8 sheets of backup information. And we would ask for that approval, and this board could decide, whether that's viable or not, or whether things have changed with different stormwater types of calculations or those kinds of things. My guess is probably not. I believe that a civil engineer that looked at this must have had to have done enough work there to stamp it so it wouldn't cause, erosion to neighboring properties or down to the other side of the hill. When you come in from the Oak Ridge west, pretty much it goes straight in and it goes downhill and more downhill towards the Grover Tavern Road, which comes around also from, I think, the old Bath Road when you come in from the other side. So that's really the big picture. And probably the biggest question is to see if there's any appetite from this board and whether it has to be any kind of a council action. I don't believe that's the case. I think it's simply a planning board decision if we come back in and say, okay, we want to increase the density because I believe if we hit a certain percentage of the area median income, we can get more density if we pledge a certain amount of affordable housing units. And typically, and I've done many of these projects, you have to pledge them for most times at least a 30-year time frame. And so if a person comes in and person A comes in and buys it and they want to sell it in a couple of years, the person they sell it to is restricted. In other words, they can't flip them. They can't turn around and make a big profit. And that's pretty standard on different projects. I've done projects. I'm based in Portland, worked with the Green New Deal down there and projects up and down the coast and whatnot. So if anybody's ever interested to see what kind of work I've done, you can look at my website. I'm a small business, but I've been doing this a pretty long time as an owner's rep. So that's kind of the big picture. with that, I might turn it back to Chair Olson. I believe you're the chair, sir, right?
Yeah, thank you. Go down a minute, just, we approved this, the original one many years ago. That man came in twice, if memory serves me, to get it recertified as his time without starting was running out. And he lapsed it, came back after, I don't know how many years, he got that plan, you see, approved. Then he sold it to the people that your clients had bought from us.
That sounds right, yeah.
You want
And in that time period, after your 2020 reapproval is when the foundations, the wells, the septics, were put in, so.
I've been to the site, I talked to our previous code officer about development work, there's substantial, in my mind, construction of the roads, even rough, but some of them are better than that, the slabs, the septic fields, the wells, that's substantial start, so they've met that requirement.
And in which case, I think they don't have to come back.
They do not have to come back if they stick to the plan. If you want to change it, then you have to come back.
So there's no statute of limits on the original plan?
There is, if you haven't got substantial start,
Okay,
and that's
which is
Right.
defined
2
as.
years.
Yeah, so the question
road
that-
is roughed in, it's a couple of foundations,
The ones
it's a
that
septic
started.
system.
In theory, no, there's no
Right,
run out once they start.
Speaking as an individual, not on behalf of the board, I would love to see you come back and come in with affordable housing for the town.
Mhm.
Under the new LD, it is allowed. You would have to go through the process again, but, I think, as an individual, I think it would be very good for the area, personally.
We have incorporated LD 2003 into our local ordinance, and Emily be the person's name.
Yeah, and it would be likely that since the two foundations are in, those would likely remain single-family market rate houses. And I think in talking to you, we would look at it as 10 lots together. And so those two are part of the bigger picture, meaning I'm not able to take those two, separate them, and then say, okay, 8 more I can get, and we get the density bonus. It's really all the units together.
I'd
Calculated.
just like to back up, what Al says, and that is, because I'm on the Future of the Wisconsin Schools Committee here in the community as well. And affordable housing is a real issue here in town. And some of our teachers that come, we hire.
Just what I was thinking was,
They
when you
don't
said
have-
that, I
Yeah, they
said,
don't have a place to
we need
live,
teachers,
so.
we need
Right.
policemen who need
Yeah.
places to live here. To me,
Yeah.
what you said is perfect.
Right.
Yeah.
I support it personally, but when I work for a client, I am asked to follow what they're asking me to do.
No, what you're paid to do.
Yeah, it is what I'm paid to do, but that doesn't mean that I work on every project that I'm offered to get paid to do, because I
True.
get a lot of offers to work on projects that I'm not interested in. It's a beautiful piece of property, and I think it could be a nice addition up there. Every project I work on, I just wish I could come up with a different word other than affordable housing, because really, and then they say workforce housing and this and that. It's a nice neighborhood, and I think people in the neighborhood are going to have concerns if we have that label on the property. It just happens on every project I work on. And so does that mean we try to max it out? I don't know. But it does mean that I think it'd be better to have something there than what's there now, because it looks a little bit like a scarred piece of property. And it'd be a shame to let it sit there to not have some use.
In their day,
Affordable
all
housing.
houses up there were poor workers in Wisconsin, because most of them still live there.
Sure,
They have former principals.
Yeah.
it's a nice neighborhood, they're modest houses.
Yeah,
And
so I think it's a great use for the property personally.
yeah, it's nice and quiet up there.
One thing you should look at, again, I know I'm repeating what the previous code officer told me, but he believed there was a separation issue between well and septic on one or more of those lots that have slabs on.
Yeah, it used to be 100 feet, now it's 75 with an exception, I'd have to double check that. I think I only found one well and it did look really close on that, so. I don't know what the depths of the wells up there, it's possible we may have to move a septic over. But given the condition of one of the septics, it's not a big deal to move it over. It didn't look like a chamber system, it looks like a regular stone pipe kind of system like that. So, I think that's, what I'm here for. I don't want to know you have other projects, so to come in, and, I wanted to meet you, because I've seen you on TV for 30 years.
Good thing I showed up.
So I think that's about, do you have any questions for me, for folks from the board? Yes, sir.
I just
Oh.
feel that, affordable housing is a wonderful way to go if we could, so.
Seems like every town needs it, it's the local people that make the town character. What is it's like, is it 100 AMI, 80% AMI for what you're
Even if
doing?
you're renting or sell, if they're gonna be owned homes.
Right.
So if it's rental units, 80% of area median income.
Right,
If it's owned homes, it's no more than 100% of area median. And there's restrictions on how much you can rent it out for, which is about 80%.
Sure.
And then there's also restrictions on, income levels on who you could rent it to. So if it's someone that's, making a significant amount of money, they wouldn't be able to benefit from the reduced rental rate. But I can send all of that information
Yeah.
on LD 2003 to you.
here's an interesting question. In Portland, when I was doing the Green New Deal, we incorporated, it was 25%, they allowed the buyout, which I'm not in favor of, so we ended up doing, about 12 or 13% on the project. And from the exterior, all the units had to look the same. However, the affordable units could be slightly smaller, and they could be slightly different on the inside. They still had to have the same number of bathrooms and bedrooms, but they didn't necessarily have to have quartz tops and, hardwood floors and those kinds of things. Now, the interior typically falls to a developer. And I believe the exterior, the site plan review falls to this board, whether it's trees, shrubs, exterior garages, materials and whatnot. Is that also fairly true here? For if we do a project and let's say out of the 10 units, we do, a couple more market rate and 4 or 5 affordable. Can we then look at, as long as the outsides are the same, and if it's a 2-car garage, it's a 2-car, if it's a 1, it's a 1. Is that a similar type of approach? Is that something I talked to you more about, Emily, or?
We can, for site plan, you have to follow the site plan review standards, and so that talks about, you have erosion control measures, you have, exterior lighting that you meet requirements, so we're looking from a density perspective. In LD 2003, if you have designated long-term affordable units, you get a density bonus. When you wouldn't get those, you wouldn't count your market rate units as part of that density
Sure.
bonus, so that's one thing you have to be aware of as you calculate out how many units you might get on your overall property.
Sure.
And that's something this board would look at. And then they'd also look at, like I said, the site plan review standards, but there's nothing in our ordinance that I'm aware of that would talk about, what the interior finish is or even the exterior finish. We don't have an architectural review board here.
But that's state building code.
Right.
Uh-huh. And of course, septic systems are probably inspected by your code enforcement here, like a lot of places.
Yeah.
Plumbing inspector or whatnot.
Who's our seller code?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's all.
That's it.
Is there a density bonus for town sewer and water? Cause I know sewer is pretty close on Old Bath Road.
There is
That's a
only
great
in one
question.
district. So in the downtown, in the village, 1 or 2, you get a density bonus. And then for LD 2003, it's just 2.5 times the density if it's an affordable unit, whether it's on. Is that sewer? I have to double check it. I think you get it as long as you can prove that you have adequate sanitary and water supply, whether it's
It's a-
private or.
I don't think it's very close to where this is to look like mostly.
I know there's sewer going down Old Bath Road. I don't, that's kind of a stretch, so.
Yeah, you have to be a pump station maybe to get back to there. And a lot of street digging and whatnot to get there. I wonder more if the, Grover Tavern Road, whether there's anything down there or not.
Not that far.
It's about 700 feet to Old Bath Road.
I mean, whenever I can get into a sewer system, it's better
Yeah.
than to do individual septics, always better. Better for marketing, better for everything, but, it's a great point. That's it, thank you.
Good luck.
Yeah, well, I hope to be back, if we do the affordable, and if not, I'll talk to you.
Yep, if you, and I am getting the sense that the consensus is this is considered a substantial start, so you would not need to come back, you would not need to come back to the planning board. If you were to stick with the plan as it was approved,
Yeah.
you just go to the,
Go.
yeah, go to code enforcement.
Go to code enforcement comments. Great. Thanks, folks. Thanks very much. Good to meet you folks. See you.
Next is Dark County Site Plan Review, 554 Bath Road. Unit 1. And Joe was joining us. Try your voice, Joe.
Hello, good evening.
Would you like to explain your project, Joe?
Yeah,
Oh, wait, Joe can't be here tonight because of a sick kid and the routing, so. He's by Zoom. We don't have a wait first. You all see Joe. Go ahead.
yeah, thank you. Can you all hear me okay?
Yep.
Great. My name is Joel Pepin. I'm owner of Jar Cannabis Company. Jar is headquartered out of Lewiston, Maine. We're locally owned and operated. We've been operating the legal cannabis industry in Maine for over 10 years. We're proposing an adult use cannabis retail store at 564 Bath Road in Wiscasset. The property right now is currently under contract for sale. We have a separate property holding company that we own that's going to be closing on the property by the end of this month, so sometime in the next couple days. Basically, what we're proposing to do is subdivide a portion of the interior space within that building right now. And our entity on the application, Jarco CV LLC, will operate a licensed adult use store out of about 1,400 square feet in the building. We plan to list the remaining portion of the building that we won't be using for our retail use to a different tenant. And as I understand it, we can have one tenant use per acre of lot size. So we will be looking for another tenant, but don't have that party identified yet. Basically, it's pretty straightforward. I know this specific use, adult use cannabis retail, I do believe it will be the first that you've seen in Wiscasset, but not all that different than medical, which I think there are at least a couple of. We aren't proposing any significant changes to the exterior of the building. The sort of post and beam entrance is sort of on brand and it's similar to what we've done in other locations. So that works well for us in this situation. We'll add some security cameras to the outside of the building to conform with state requirements. And then basically on the inside, we'll subdivide our space. We'll have an ADA compliant restroom, pull all the permits in accordance with code. And yeah, we'll propose to, if approved, start the construction as quickly as we can over this winter with the goal of trying to open for next spring and summer. Let's see what else. My company currently operates 8 stores, so we've been doing this a while. We don't expect to be a company that's going to be in and out. We plan to be here for a long time, as I believe shown in our intent to purchase the property. We haven't had any infractions or security issues at any of our other retail locations. The one benefit I would say, being in the adult use, I should say cannabis industry in the state of Maine, is there's some the degree of regulation with the state in terms of security requirements is higher than for the medical cannabis industry. So we've got good security contractors that we've worked with for both our cameras and our intrusion. We'll have panic buttons. Yeah, so I'm from Standish, Maine, and looking to bring and excited to bring our business to the coast.
Anybody have any questions at this point?
What's the name of the 8 stores that you operate currently?
So, all doing business as Jar Cannabis Company, and I will say we're not very creative, and Jar stands for Joel, Adam, Ryan, and so you're talking to Joel, and maybe someday you'll get to meet Adam and Ryan as well. So that actually 7 are operate as Jar Cannabis Company. We acquired our first acquisition. We acquired a store in Berwick, Maine, earlier this summer. That was doing business under a different name, and we're in the process of remodeling that store and changing it to a Jar store.
No more.
Thank you. So I met with Joel prior to his submitting a site plan application to go through what's required as part of this application. He is part of it, has submitted, a waiver request for all of you to review. He's seeking a waiver from needing to supply a recent site survey and all of the accompanying information that goes with that as spelled out in our ordinance. He has supplied, so this is the, former Seacoast Roasters Birch's Coffee Shop building on Route 1. So he has provided a plan that you have seen before, back when Birch's was trying to put in outdoor seating and a seasonal outdoor restroom to the property, just to give you in terms of the metes and bounds of the building. But because they are not proposing any exterior site changes, they are seeking a waiver from that. So that's something for you to consider. If you do grant the waiver, then I've spent some time going through the application package, and I found that everything has been submitted that's required to as part of submission outside of those items that he is seeking a waiver from.
Traditionally granted that waiver when no significant changes to the exterior of previously approved site. I believe the most recent one was the last cannabis facility in town on 127. What is the pleasure of the board?
What is the date of the survey that is on it?
It's not a complete survey, so
It's not-
we'd have to pull previous file folder for it, but years now, 4 or 5.
Yeah, I think you looked at that back in 2021.
Just for the, yeah, but
For the, right, not for the entire roastery and coffee shop business, but for the outdoor patio area and restroom.
survey came into the entire roastery, but it's years before that.
Right.
So let's say 6 to the guess. Yeah, that one, we can go full record. So a motion to grant that waiver? Tony, make the move to grant waivers or second?
Second.
Right over. Nothing recorded. Any further comment? All those in favor of granting? Good. You find the application complete?
Yeah.
Good to entertain a motion to find the application complete. And to send this off to Emily for review. Tony, so moves.
Second.
Second, any discussion on that? All those in favor? It passed unanimously. Congratulations. As I like to say, you just passed from somebody who meets twice a week, twice a month, to somebody who works 5 days a week.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great. Next is the Charm Pie. Now we do the restaurant.
Good evening, sir.
Fine, bring as many as you want, right to yourself.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. I'm Stephen Deal. This is my family, with the exception of my wife and granddaughter who are at home. We thank you for your time. And, We're happy to answer any questions that we possibly can about our restaurant, which we've been in the planning for many years. As the family, became capable to assume the responsibility of a public, entity, if you will. My oldest son, Peter, and my young son, Terry, will be in the kitchen. Many years of experience in Thai cooking. In addition to my wife's over 40 years of Thai cooking here and abroad. And my very limited experience in cooking Thai. Mostly
Eating Thai.
Eating Thai, that's right. Yeah. We're also pleased that Mr. Sherman is here this evening, because without his, very kind and productive assistance, the restaurant would not be capable. We're extremely grateful for the opportunity to have the space. The lease has been signed. We intend to be there a long, long time. Multi-generation perhaps. That's about it. We will present what I call classic Northern Thai food. I don't call it cuisine. I call it food, family food, created for families and singles and couples of all ages and all nationalities. As you may remember or seen in the Facebook or about our restaurant, we believe in love. And we create food with love, much like we had here at Sarah's Cafe downtown. We will carry on my sister's legacy in that aspect. We will present healthy main food in addition to the Thai food, specials in the fall of the year, scallops, haddock prepared different ways. Perhaps native Maine lobster specials upon occasion. But primarily soups and curries, homemade appetizers, duck, pork, chicken, haddock, exclusively haddock, by the way, perhaps salmon at a later date. Brown rice, white rice, fried rice, steamed rice, noodles of all kinds. These things are necessary to create a true Thai meal. It's not just a pot with things thrown in randomly. We like to present food that matches what you require or what the individual will require. It can be very diverse, and I won't get into length about it. We've invested in the inside of the building with an entirely new Thai kitchen. Updates including a complete repainting of the dining room, brand new dining room furniture. Mr. Sherman provided a parking lot which we will have striped tomorrow if the weather holds. There will be sufficient spaces for our 40 seats, which we are governed by the state regulation on one bathroom for 40 customers. Of course, there'll be washing stations in the kitchen for the staff. We will not begin to serve beer or wine. Perhaps later, the application will come for that. Primarily sodas and Thai teas and coffees and things of that nature. We don't desire to open a bar, and we certainly don't intend to. But some folks like to have cold beer with hot Thai food. And they're welcome too after we have the proper licenses. The bathroom is all redone. The windows were all redone by Mr. Sherman, the roof, the outside insulation and the siding. You've probably seen the new sign that's there, properly installed on Route 9. Welcome your questions if you have any.
Thank you. I'm sure we're all waiting for you to open. I know I'm a little hungry.
Me too.
I don't see any problem with you opening, but we do have an application process, and I believe we've met with Emily. And your application is hopefully incomplete,
We're getting there.
but you're getting there.
They are getting there. So, I submitted to you on the planning board on October 21st, a completeness determination based on the materials we had at the time the deadline closed for this meeting. And then I met, with Mr. Heald that afternoon, and you should have in front of you an updated memo from October 23rd, 2024. There's a bunch of red on it throughout. Though that red is updates from the October, from, our meeting with Mr. Heald. So the first is that, there was a question about whether the application fee was paid. That was paid on the afternoon of October 21st at the town office. The town office sent me a copy of the receipt, so that's good to go. Mr. Hill also confirmed that there was an abutters notice that was mailed out to neighboring property owners. Let's go through the stuff that's taken care of. A copy of the lease agreement was provided at that time and is attached to the memo that I gave you, so you should all have a copy of that. And you were requesting a copy of the property deed from Mr. Sherman, because we had a site survey that still has the former owner's name on it. Oh, great, you have the mailing receipts, perfect. So we have a copy of the lease agreement, we'll just need a copy of the property deed for the records. It was also confirmed in our conversation that no exterior site changes other than those kind of more cosmetic decorative touches, as well as striping in the parking lot and some plantings is proposed. So they're not changing the grade, they're not digging anything up, they're not making any massive site changes. It's mostly interior building changes to the building that housed the former Miss Wiscasset Diner. There were also a number of items that originally it was unclear around parking, traffic, estimated cost, financial and technical capacity, refuse management, that had yet to be provided and have since been provided. That includes, like I said, the confirmation of the, no exterior changes to the site other than striping for parking and some minor decorative touches. They are adding some exterior lighting for safety to the left side of the building when you're facing the building in the parking lot area for safety. They will be providing 8 customer parking spaces, including 1 handicap space in the front of the building, an additional 6 customer spaces on the side, plus an additional 4 dedicated employee parking spaces, and all of the parking fits within the existing parking lot area. Deliveries to the property will be up to 3 times a week during the peak season, and the delivery truck will back to the back door to make deliveries to the kitchen. Property is connected to sewer and water. I've reached out to the sewer and water districts to get them to confirm whether there's any impact on utilities. As part of this, I have not heard back just yet, but I will send them a follow-up email. And then as far as the financial and technical capacity, they are self-financing this project. Their desire is to open reasonably soon after they receive state and local approvals. And as Mr. Heald explained, there's plenty of technical capacity in terms of cooking experience. There are 2 pieces is that the site survey, like I said, is in the name of the former property owner. It's relatively recent compared to most applications we see. However, it doesn't have all of the information we're looking for. So a waiver request similar to the application we just saw came through, has been submitted by Mr. Heald asking for a waiver from a recent site survey and those accompanying requirements such as topography, testable data, those type of elements. The other piece that we need to talk about is that this property has a number of other uses on the site. There used to be, and I think might have discontinued, is the antique store. There was the kayak store.
They're gone.
But recently. So if those are 2 uses, there needs to be confirmation that they're discontinued in order to open up a restaurant use, because the Miss Wiscasset use has been gone for more than 2 years, which means it's discontinued. So with this property being less than 3 acres, I believe, and there's 3 uses on there. we would just want some confirmation as to what's there now and what, if anything, is proposed in the future.
And then they split up, and although in something it's submitted, it was a driveway to a trailer. And sketch
Oh, you're
here,
right.
which would make 3 possible uses of the property. It's just a thing for them.
.08 acres, 2.08 acres. And there's an antique store with passive trading post. Commercial space / apartment. And then the restaurant building,
No, I need that.
and I can't tell if the Wisconsin trading post is. The commercial space is part of this back here, and then the apartment above,
Yeah, no, it's just sketch here, that's driveway to mobile home.
right, which says there's remains of mobile home. I don't know that that's still a use, so, I don't know if the property owner wants to speak a little bit to what's still in use there. If you wanna come up and pull up a chair, that would be wonderful.
Norman Chairman, how are you? I'll be glad when the fire ads come back on TV instead of politicians.
No, me too.
No,
Maybe for.
what I have plans for the antique building's gonna be demoed. So it'll only just be the kayak business and the dining.
Is there still an apartment,
Yes.
Buck?
Mhm.
Is there still a mobile home? It says remains of a mobile home?
My mother lives there now.
Okay.
She was up in Somerville, the dead end road with the wood stove. It was time to move her at 91.
The wrong term to use, my mother and remains, so let's get this on. I'm gonna put my foot down right now.
You didn't put her in the remains of a tree.
But basically, it's once that building is down, it's limited to 2 uses.
Trailer on the property,
Oh, with the trailer.
is it on the property? My problem is, I'm not willing to waive the plan requirement for the following. 1, that plan is hardly readable. 2, it's preliminary and over 6 months old. We don't have a signed and sealed copy. I think that a lease area needs to be defined. in the property saying this is what goes with the restaurant and this is what goes.
We have it in a sketch. He knows where his property
It
is.
needs to be as part of our documents and the survey plans next in place for it.
And we did that, right? Yeah.
Other than that, I don't have a problem waiving contours and drainage courses and soils and
There's towns who are in town water.
a signed and sealed plan and accurate delineation so that somebody can, at least somebody who knows what they're doing, can walk out there and saying, I'm standing on your lease and I'm standing on your property, or whatever it is. That's my thought. Other than that,
Because it's 2.08 acres,
oh, you gotta know if there's trailers on the lot, or whether that's an easement, going to be an easement over the lot.
to get to the trailer.
Yeah. Since apparently,
Is the trailer part of that lot or your lot next door?
I can put another road, there's no problem.
I explained, Norman, that, that's not a remainder of the trailer, you put a new unit on. the
Yeah, it's
property.
brand new.
Chances are, if I interpret that sketch, it's pretty close to the line anyway, you may have put it over.
So,
You also,
so,
you only adjust, you only run property, correct?
yes,
So you'd have absolutely no problem
Right.
putting it to the tag in, make sure it's over the property and
other
keep
than,
it. So
other than slowing these guys down, they're really
I don't
trying
want to
hard.
slow them down either, so I'm gonna say that my suggestion is,
I'll make a motion.
you make the motion.
I'd like to make a large motion that we approve the restaurant subject to an updated survey showing that there's only 2 possible uses on the 2.08 acres. Condition upon the other building being torn down in the future as put on the plans. I
What
think
was the
I've
last- what was the last part of your motion?
showing on the plan that
Yeah, there's still
Three
three.
uses.
that the antique store will be demolished. So it'll show that it's on the plan to be
There's
demolished,
still three uses, can you shut off the apartment? And,
subject to him on the plan showing that the trailer is on the other lot.
There's the plan shows there's an apartment above what was the kayak
Yeah,
store
it was a
in
home occupation.
addition
It was a
to,
home occupation for the guy. He lived upstairs and ran there.
does he still live there?
He died.
Died, yeah.
Did anyone move in? Or is the apartment vacant?
No, we're still working on that. It's pretty bad.
Okay. Cause
He
if you lease the apartment to someone new,
Separately.
you create three uses again, cause you'd have the kayak store, the apartment, and then the restaurant.
I'm gonna live there this winter.
Okay. But that's
I hear
still,
what he said.
I'm living
still a
there.
house, still a dwelling,
I'm not staying in Westport
Still in
all the
Wilmington.
time.
no matter who lives in it. So it's three uses.
Yeah.
If anyone lives in it.
Yeah.
The other
And
thing-
2 acres.
Excuse me.
there's no,
How do we rectify that, other than,
he owns the surrounding land, he can move boundary lines.
that's fair, that's true, that is helpful.
It's very helpful, you own all the land involved.
That's, you're gonna have to do that for your mom's trailer. We can juggle the lines differently.
Yeah, I just, like I said, I don't want to hold them up
I know.
Yeah,
for surveys and stuff, but.
So hopefully. That surveyor will come out by that plan shortly. hopefully.
But that,
I guess the only other argument you can make is that there's,
can I ask something?
Yes, then.
You know, I just officially closed with Heather about 4 or 5 days ago, because I held out some of money and gave her 6 months to get her all this stuff out. And she was still selling stuff, the kayaks and the antiques all this time. And when does it come that anything's grandfathered? She said, Norman, don't tear that antique building down, that's grandfathered. We have 3 businesses on this property, we have 3 curb cuts, we have this and that. So when does it come, anything grandfathered here?
Well, white sheet.
well, that's what I was
It
just
could
gonna
be a
ask, can we argue that you're going from 3 uses to 3 uses? The diner is not grandfathered, because it was,
Cease to exist.
right, ceased to exist and it's been gone for more than 2 years, but you have the kayak building, the apartment.
Apartment is part of the kayak.
Yeah,
But I'm
it's
talking
used.
uses, even if it's in the same building, it's a use. And then the antique store. Plus the home is technically, if it is on their property and it's remained in use, that's 4, so can we switch, can you switch a use? In terms of if you have 3, but you're changing the type, but it's still a 3 to 3 trade, because you're getting rid of the antique store. Is that something the planning board would entertain?
Probably more uses there than should have been,
Right,
just because it got missed.
but
More
they
than
continue,
But it has existed.
But it has existed, the towns, it's not up to us to enforce that, the town's going to. We're not an enforcement agent, we're a food company, or business.
I still wanna make my motion that we approve it subject to a new site plan showing the 3 uses that already existed. The trailer in the back is gonna have to zigzag onto your property. And as quick as you can get a site plan, I mean, I'd love to do a conditional, to do it open now, but I don't think it's legal for us to allow that.
I'm gonna second the motion just to get it going.
Thank you.
because I would just,
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. You got it?
Well, I have to approve the restaurant subject to an updated survey showing the 2 uses on the 2.0.
3 uses.
3 uses, okay. On the 2.08 acres, the antique will be demolished. And it will show the apartment,
That's the deed they want.
and if the apartment is leased, it'll be 3 years. If that's what it's all in there, but I don't know when the motion is set up.
Motion that never ends.
It is the deed.
Is this a copy I can keep?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I will scan it and send it to all of
Board
you.
of leasing.
Okay,
It shows the restaurant and 2 uses on the other lot.
okay,
Well, I think, and we're gonna get this through. I think maybe you said, if you get that plan. And then when you come in for whatever on the remaining land.
Mhm.
I think the board could probably come to your conclusion that that's a grandfather, whether it should have been or not. 2 uses on that piece of the property. Move forward with whatever 2 uses there are. If it's change in use on the retail and apartment. And so all we need to do is write a letter or something like that.
Home occupation,
Mhm.
so pause.
so can we just have this,
Yeah.
Residents, right?
should we just have a motion be that you approve? The restaurant subject to updated survey showing 2 uses on the 2.08 acres. You want more than that?
With the lease line shown. I like with the lease
And are
line
you
shown.
approving it or are you finding it complete
Fine.
to send to the applicant? Say
The motion was to,
The motion was to approve, but I think you need to amend the motion to say it's, to find it complete.
I amend the
Pending.
motion to find the application complete, subject to the updated survey showing the 3 uses that the existing, the grandfather 3 uses
was lease lines.
with
Lease lines.
lease lines.
I'll amend the second.
All right, does everybody understand the motion?
Yes.
You have a question?
No, sir.
All in favor? Yes, yes.
I might add, the buildings never look better.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I'm seeing the inside also, please.
He's done a tremendous job in the kitchen, beautiful.
Now I understand motion and have,
And the,
have the review of the project, once the paperwork comes in.
All the young men.
So the whole thing unfortunately is gonna hang up on getting the survey done, and, that seems to be the only hang up.
Right. So, I'll make the motion that we pass this application for approval on to Emily.
I second the motion.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Yes. Just like I said to the last guy, once that survey comes in, she works 5 days a week, we only work twice a month, so you're in good hands.
good. I just want to say, you know, thank you for everything, you know. I turned over my garage to Atlantic, that's doing well. The vineyard, the girl I bought from Simpsons, that's doing well. Little rock shop is happy, thanks to you guys, and the tasting center, that it came out very well. So I'm just trying in this town to do business and other businesses, you know, in this town, and I'm not done yet.
Good.
I hate to lose the antique store, but I gotta come in and get approved for a little more parking for my stuff, so.
So we're changing over.
We do, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So if there's any other questions, good luck, and can't wait to let you know.
We've done. We'll go forward to it.
Yeah, I'll take it. Absolutely. Rebecca, any questions on the survey? Once you get it, stop seeing, and I will start writing up a decision and have it ready.
While she's talking, you have a big file from property. It is not on tonight.
What's going on behind Ames, or next to Ames? Putting a separate storage building up, or?
All right, talk to her. That is Ames. We moved
Show
that
what
one.
part of the property,
2 years ago?
and then I.
I remember building lanes, trying to figure it out.
Guys, that just argument that.
Just
The one
expanding
that has-
storage, that's my
Most
project.
recently,
They're just, they're building the gravel lot out back,
Basically shot.
expanding the parking lot along Route 1 another hundred and
So if
fifty
you can
feet.
get me that survey.
For just like material storage and things like that.
I will then write up the.
Potential future building in the back, is permitted, there's no use on it though.
It'll be ready, and it's just a matter of them signing up on it, and in the meantime, you'll be able to start going through business
The
places.
temperature, what is it?
That's one question mark.
And I might add, they're making headway, I think they'll be done in
If you can,
winter.
as you're working, with your- get you that, I'll start.
Well, they've had a phenomenal-
I'll have a skeleton now based on all the other.
3
stuff
days
you
at
sent me.
most.
So I'll just
I've been
reference
super
that.
impressed with that
Once you get
contractor,
it.
he's a one man show, every time I go there for inspections, it's just him running the bucket, running the dump truck, building the chamber system.
Wow.
And he's an older gentleman, he's gotta be 70.
Let me know. Just
Tim, so, yeah.
This is not my,
Sam Snow.
normal survey.
Okay.
He actually had one kid I've seen on site before, for one day I was there, other than that, it's been him.
Maybe you could just add, you know, whole thing in this and perhaps bigger people.
We actually.
In early, into, we don't have to schedule.
You have a letter that's just
Putting that
informative more than anything else.
And then sign.
Emily and I met with the PTA, potential development of the Mason Station.
The other piece is that.
What's that?
The gentleman, at Mason Station. He met with us.
Yeah, last meeting.
They have a memo covering
Yeah, it's drawing
what
that.
that is.
I know when I'm going.
They got big plans. I'll tell you, it goes to Mason Station redevelopment. They have a website, masonstation.com, I think.
Different people.
Yeah, they have a purchase and sales agreement, and they have like 1 year left on it.
So
To
it's
finalize it.
I will finish my study and we'll put it on the agenda for that.
I must have had.
Whatever the other things. They will sign it, but it's. I will say that you appear before the name. Here's the draft, and then it'll be voted. But I can't.
Basically, they want to put a security fence around property.
Multi-agencies.
The map actually.
I mean, I would think that they,
It
it's
was
gonna
already
take a
been
while.
changed slightly.
Security
Security
as well.
Biggest thing is they want to remove underbrush, and get the trash, basically, the building structures, and there's all kinds of garbage under the fence. Not cut trees,
Yeah,
just brush, like trash.
okay.
And all this stuff, not.
They
Have
want,
any plans for the building itself?
pardon?
Do they have any plans for the building itself?
I think they will eventually, they haven't wanted to develop those yet, they have several companies or businesses that they're looking at that would be interested in it. One of their biggest problems, I think, they're just gonna have to live with it, is
Was a restaurant.
in that zone,
Yeah.
utilities will be underground.
Right.
It's gonna be expensive to go from the nearest service truck to the building.
State farm marshal has been with us. They've been
They
with
asked
us so
us
long.
if they could put coal instead, and we're
All
like,
the years.
that's a zoning change, so
It's all good to go.
Okay,
that's probably going to.
okay.
Do something, comes along, something.
What
Finish
inspections?
everything.
As far as the guts, what inspections? do you come?
Health inspection, licensing, stock food.
Yeah.
As you heard, they're basically ended up last year, essentially due diligence. He's down there, and in fact, he's
That's it.
I.
may have already done it, framed out a building,
At this.
framed out a room in the plant that he can,
Have all the other.
with the generator. Solving electric. The generator already exists in the old building.
We'll get the inspections done, they can sign and we can open.
Well, you still need the.
Merely at this point, letting you know.
From the select, your actual business license, but I would say get your inspection, keep your inspection going, make sure they take a little while.
That expert.
Show up, all that stuff. I don't want you to include that process.
Last thing is, last time. we approved the crayon sign.
Yeah, right.
I wasn't there, so I can't sign.
For those who are present, they come up and. I would appreciate it.
I want to bring back.
Good to see you.
Who was that, Chairman?
Good luck, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Big Al.
Who's not Chairman?
Come and see us.
Here.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're trying to. So Peter's first.
Yeah, what on it? Sorry, I gave the town.
Send me the draft. You figure out what we're supposed to do.
Okay, the day 27, 28.
That's some of the days.
28. The best was done.
You did look by Zoom. No, we weren't there.
I
We
get
actually
complicated stuff, so I
No, then you don't.
volunteered to go to the Fourth of July for the 10 o'clock at night and a traveling nurse who's gonna be here for 13 weeks. Because Uber wanted $275 to bring her to do a
Very
day.
expensive.
So the lady who is gonna visit the house, can pay rent of the house for me, is in front of her, she said, I can't see this lady who's approved for $275 the first night she's in Maine, and she's coming in at night, she's afraid to drive down the dirt road to where she's living, so I go to the airport. So I'm holding a little sign, the lady's name, and all I can tell you is we walk through the airport, like 12 different people said, Big Al, Big Al, Big Al, and the lady goes, do you know all these people? I said, no, but everybody knows me, I had no idea what
They
was
do.
going on.
They do.
But if this lady was willing to come from Kansas to here for 13 weeks to help our hospital,
Wow.
I was happy to drive her from the airport and save her $275. I thought that was a rip-off.
I've heard we're completely underserved by Uber.
When I go to.
That's a good business to start if you wanna start an Uber business. They make good money.
That requires a population 10 times our size.
I don't know,
We didn't even support.
Need one more person, I'm
There's one taxi route back.
and it won't go anywhere. I asked to be taken to the airport one time, and he's like, yeah,
No, you gotta
it was
use
gonna
that
be like
stuff. You gotta
100.
start with it.
Who will?
You
Where you
gotta
get
start
those?
with that.
Oh, they will?
Yeah.
I don't know. No. And what do you get?
This one.
You want to sign? I attended. I need a fourth, it was another person. No, technically you done three,
Where is it from?
three, four, nine. No, three was a four.
Oh, from that meeting, yeah, I think so.
All right, thank you. I sort of did the,
Oh, that's fine.
okay, well, is there any other business?
At 8:02, I make my favorite motion that we adjourn.
Second. Obviously, folks, it will be a major project on our next agenda.
Okay.
Yeah, dropped off today. Staff out there.
Good revenue and business for other business.
Anybody with pair of glasses?
Somebody sign there? I had no idea, that's all. I didn't think so. How about you put it in my thing?
Yeah.
It must
It
go
must
with the
be.
applicant.
Hey.
Carl, Carl,
Fine.
Oh, wait, yeah, who?
Carl.
Who's that?
Carl. I'm sorry, I did have my hand up, but I think where you adjourned, I figured I'd just pipe in at that point. I'm sorry, what was the document that you were all just signing back there? I wasn't clear on which one that was.
We approved last month, I was the applicant, last meeting, I was the applicant for a building permit on Gardner Pond. On Neuro.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
It
Okay,
was, it was approved, but we failed to sign it.
all right, thank you very much.
All right, take care.
You too, thanks, bye.
You? Okay, folks, good night all.
Big bar, where do you print your phone?
341.
Yeah.